Welcome to the My Florida Green podcast. Here in Florida, there's been a lot of talk about the upcoming Smart and Safe bill that many people think is a recreational bill, but it's actually not. In part 2 of our interview with Nick Garulay, founder and CEO of My Florida Green, Nick has asked why the state has not been open to a discussion about using the DOC app, which is our patient management platform, to help them manage patient outcomes in the medical marijuana program. And his answer just might surprise many Floridians. It's interesting. I mean, why do you think they're so resistant to wanting to partner?
Well, I have some conspiracies, right? So, and that's all they are, full disclosure. But there is one dispensary that has a complete monopoly on the state. So you have one dispensary that has 130 locations in the state of Florida. The others have an average of 9 to 10, right? So that's a little suspect, right? And the representatives from that dispensary started to go out to the doctors and educate them on this emergency rule. So they knew that the emergency rule was going to take place well before it actually took place, which is a little weird. And then the emergency rule took place, created complete chaos to where people were dropping out of the program. They don't want to be part of the program. They don't want to jump through all these hoops. And now all of a sudden, that same dispensary spent $40 million to put boots on the ground to obtain 1 million signatures for a recreational or adult use bill. Kind of suspect. It's weird. Connecting the dots, though, it's not really, that hard to put together. So connecting those dots isn't that difficult, and then another theory is that maybe they're all in on it. Why aren't they communicating? I mean, the state, if somebody's watching it work, they look silly. They look absolutely silly. You have attorneys that have written these rules and regulations. Doctors aren't involved at all. And since when do you go to an attorney for health advice? When do you go to an attorney to talk about how cannabis helps your anxiety, right? So, a doctor, an MD or a DO, unrestricted license, a doctor has to have unrestricted license to certify for medical marijuana, right? They're so restrictive with the rules and regulations, yet they're able to blanket and restrict the amount of relief a patient can get. Like, somebody has to stand up. Somebody has to do something about it. Going back to the question, though, Smart and Safe now has enough signatures to potentially be on the ballot for 2024. If it passes, complete chaos is going to erupt in the dispensaries, right? Dispensary supply is going to completely diminish because the demand is going to be so high. Anybody 21 and over can go into the dispensary and purchase products, right? Sounds great. Sounds like it's going to hurt our business. Well, it's actually not. It's going to drive our business, because what happens is the patient is only allowed to get so many milligrams on a recreational, and they're taxed up to 40%. So now you're paying more and getting less, and you're going to be restricted to the amount of the type of products that you can get as well. And don't forget about the 70-year-old grandma that's waiting in the same line with a guy that's saying, hey, smoke this stuff, it's the dank, this stuff makes me feel good, so now it becomes a joke almost. To the point, there's not one recreational state that's done it right, and that's the problem, right? This, I've invested $2 million of my own money. We've all invested our time. We've been doing this for 7 years now to build this platform, and now it's just all gonna kind of fall to the wayside so that we can pave the way for recreational, so that everybody can make money, right? This dispensary is literally stepping on the heads of the patients who have funded them for the past 7 years, stepping on their heads so they can pave the way for recreational, so that they can make more money to appease their investors, right? Like, it's corruption, and it runs so deep, it's disgusting. So it's not hard to connect those dots. Just a conspiracy, but a lot of conspiracies come true nowadays. So.
Yeah, there's starting to be conspirafact.
Right.
So, what are some other things about the bill that you think are misconceptions, that people think that the bill actually is, but it's not?
Well, another problem is each dispensary is called an MMTC, which is a medical marijuana treatment center. So these counties and municipalities have passed or allowed or created an ordinance for these dispensaries, aka medical marijuana treatment centers, to open up in these certain counties, right? Well, now they're going to flip into recreational dispensaries, so you're going to strip the word medical right out of it, and they're going to get sued. These dispensaries are going to get sued because I know there's certain counties. I mean, Collier County, where we're sitting right now, permanently ban the dispensaries. They don't even let a dispensary open because they know that that's what's eventually going to happen. Look at Bonita. There's 10, 12, 15 now. I was part of that, by the way. I spoke in front of those county commissioners, and we were able to get that to pass. But I'm pretty sure that the people up in Benita, those kind of commissions, are not going to be very happy once it goes from medical to recreational, and they're now all recreational dispensaries. But maybe not. Who knows? But at the same, I don't have a problem with recreational marijuana. I have a problem with the way that they're trying to do it. Mm-hmm. They're trying to piggyback off the constitutional amendment that we passed back in 2016. They're trying to pass the recreational marijuana as a constitutional amendment. They're trying to say it's your constitutional right to be able to smoke weed, right? And whether that's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, but it's your constitutional right, and it's signed into law that if you suffer from a medical condition, then you can have access to medical marijuana. That's ironclad. That's not going anywhere. But to manipulate that and to molest that and try to change that to pave the way just so you can make money, that's what I have a problem with, and I think everybody out there who's going to vote for this bill should have a problem with that as well.
I couldn't agree more, and I appreciate you helping clarify that. There's a lot of people that think that the bill's one thing, but it's not.
Well, the other thing, too, if I can cut you off,
sure,
is vertical integration, right? So that's part of the law. For if you have a grow license, the grow license has to own the dispensary, has to own the security, the packaging, the processing, all the way up, right? So it doesn't open up a free market if we pass recreational. And there's a big misconception out there. You have a lot of people that are, free the flower, holding the picket signs, wearing tie-dye shirts. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I mean, I think that we've had enough of that, right? Those people aren't qualified to give health advice to somebody who's suffering from a qualifying condition. But at the same time, too, vertical integration, what we're doing is when we pass recreational, that vertical integration literally creates a cartel, right? And it's a legal cartel, however you want to put it, whatever arena you want to put it in, but it creates a cartel, and you got one dispensary that's positioned perfectly because they have 130 plus dispensaries across the state. They're positioned perfectly. They're over manufacturing products, and they feel that they can cater to the recreational, right? But let's say it passes today. You have Vitacam, you have Move, you have Sunnyside, you have all these little micro dispensaries that have opened up that are doing the best they can, right? The Flowery, right? Well, what's going to happen is they're going to implode because they're not going to have enough product, and then you've got this big monopoly dispensary. So they're going to come in and backdoor them and buy them all out, right? They're already buying licenses, which enables them to have 130 dispensaries across the state. Like, where is the red flags? Where are the eyebrows being raised, right? And did people get paid on the state side? That's the first question that comes to my mind. Right? Is somebody are the government officials lining their pockets with money that's being generated off the patients paying for medical marijuana? That's something that we should be looking into, right?
It does feel and sound much like a money grab.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing about the smart and safe bill, right? So there's going to be no home grow. There's going to be limitations for people wanting to purchase, and it's going to hurt supply and demand.
Yeah.
And who's
the supply is going to diminish and demand's going to skyrocket, right? And I'll tell you, so it's going to drive the black market. All the illegal weed dealers that are standing on the corner, those guys are going to be busy, real busy,
So the state's not only hurting patients that need it, but they're also going to be creating bigger problems than what they think.
Absolutely.
And all of this for a plant that's never killed anybody in the history of mankind.
Oh gosh, don't even get me started there. Yeah, it's been traced back 7,000 years. No one's ever died. It's impossible. You can eat a strong edible and feel like you're going to die, but I mean, you can reverse that with CBD.
Exactly. So I have a question for you then. If you could rewrite the smart and safe bill, right? If you could rewrite an adult use bill of some sort, what would it look like? How would you put it together?
Gosh, that's a lot of pressure. I don't think the state's ready for it. It definitely isn't. I mean, I know there's about 22 licenses that they're supposed to release, but I know that dispensary is going to probably gobble up half of them. If I have a license and I'm getting ready to put it into play and establish, my grow and then my processing and then my dispensaries, right? It's going to cost me $50 million. Or if this dispensary, this one that has a monopoly, is going to offer me $50 million, now I'm going to start thinking about that for a second. I could take $50 million and go sit on a yacht somewhere for. I could retire off of $50 million. I'm pretty sure you could too. We both could. We could split it. Or I have to take on a bunch of investors and raise $50 million in hopes that I'm going to penetrate the market, right? I'm going to take the $50 million, go sit on a yacht, right? So that's happening with a lot of these licenses too. So actually, I think you got a couple screws loose if you're going to get into the space right now, especially with one dominating. You got a big uphill battle, and it's going to be tough.